Larry, I how do you possibly predict Tesla? And Happy New Year to you as well.
How do you predict Tesla? This is how you predict Tesla.
Yeah, okay.
Tesla is not a play for tomorrow or even for the next day,
How
which
did I
means
know? How
that
did I know you were going to say this?
which is which means that you can't time Tesla. It's not going to be a this year stock or a next year stock. Tesla is a stock for, somebody with a 3-year view. Could be a 5-year view, but 3-year view certainly. Tesla back in 2018 was a 3 to 5 year view. And it was a bet on
The
the
car,
electric vehicle.
right?
And whoever took that 3 to 5 year view in 2018 scored very well,
Big time.
as did I, as did you, as did many other retail investors. Today, Tesla is a 3-year view, but not as a car company, as an energy as an energy, well, first and foremost, as an, FSD, or
AI robotics company. Yes, yes.
I mean, if you want to put it into a bigger scale, but in terms of product, I would say autonomy, robotics, and ultimately, embedded AI. And in those fields, it's formidable, but it's a 2 to 3 year play. And again, you can't say the stock price is going to be X on this date. If you're Brian, you could perhaps you have that level of skill. I don't. I just say it's a 3-year play, and in 3 years, the products will not have matured, but the market will place a very significant value on them. So that's what Tesla is. And so I take all of these projections, with a pinch of salt.
Well, of course, I have to do this, Larry. It's my job. It's my job. Well,
It's a, it's a tough job. It's a
it's a
tough
tough
job.
job, but we do know that there are people in my audience who are day traders, week traders, month traders, who are playing options. You play some options, I play some options. So there's more to it than just the long haul person. And there are plenty of folks out there that make their entire living off of making these daily predictions. And I quite frankly did quite well the last couple of days, Larry. I hit
Good.
I hit the 380 on the nose. And I said it was the bottom. Now, of course, it may not be the bottom because we can still go test again. But and it was interesting that it ended at 410 today. I did not predict it'd be 410 today. I promise you. Anybody that did that, now that's a genius.
But you were directionally aligned
Directionally
with that,
correct.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
direction is more important than price.
there you go. That's exactly right. Well, on the earnings, Larry, which will be the next subject, not to say that earnings is the only thing this month because we got the Juniper maybe. Well, let's talk about Juniper for a minute. A lot of rumors that it's going to break in all three regions
Mm.
on February 1-ish, February 5th,
That
right
would
after Chinese New Year, or something like
that
that.
would be an awesome trick.
That'd be an awesome trick. So you have any knowledge and or thoughts about that other than what we've already seen out there?
Definitely don't have any knowledge, nothing special, and I even if I did, I wouldn't repeat it. Um, I I'm very skeptical. Tesla haven't been able to pull off that trick before. Um, I am very, very certain it's going to happen in China.
First,
Yeah, yeah. And then whether or not it happens here and in Berlin, I mean, here is more than possible. Berlin hasn't, you know, traditionally been the place where it's happened first, and I can see reasons why it may not happen there first. There's battery supply, there's part, there's the bill of material componentry. And whether it could happen here as well, I don't know. But one thing I do feel very confident of is I think it'll be a big seller.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen here at the same time as happening in China, that's going to impact sales significantly. In Germany, sales are so poor right now in Europe that I don't know that it would have that serious an impact. So it would be good if they were aligned and it came out at the same time. But US has disappointed, certainly disappointed in the Model 3 rollout.
Right.
By the way, I have two brand new Model 3s sitting in my garage right now. One is my wife's, the other is nominally mine. I'm not sure how to balance that with my Cybertruck. I will say quality is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The ride, the fit, the finish, just the feel, it's just a great car, just a great car. And I may be taking it to Boca Chica because the Cybertruck is due for its service, and there's a whole lot of things that has to be caught up on. So I don't want to delay it. I'll see. Maybe I will delay. No, maybe I won't delay it. Anyway, bottom line is there's no doubt that they have that Model 3 keyed in, and if they achieve that with the Model Y, Katie barred the doors.
There you
So
go.
I do hope that they're right, that it happens here at the same time as China, but I'm not sure.
So the earnings coming up, I've been making the claim that the margins will hold at the 20% level, that there are a whole bunch of things that are operating in favor of margins. I gave a list that energy will replace the quantity. The quantity will be made up by energy, but the quality will remain about the same in terms of 17% plus 3% for the
The quality will also be made up by energy. Energy is tracking at a higher margin.
higher margin. That's true. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I'm saying that it maybe no impact on estimated earnings for January 29th.
Well, the champion of all of this is AJ.
Right.
AJ has proved to be more consistent and more accurate than anybody else on both revenue, but also on margins and on profit.
Mhm.
So I slave away at these spreadsheets, and then why don't you just take AJ's numbers? Just makes better sense. He's much more expert. His expertise is far greater than mine, and so I would adopt his. And he's talking, you know, he's saying that we're going to do pretty good. So I believe it.
Yeah, he said that he was going to rethink his numbers, but that right now, at the worst, he's thinking it might be a 3 cent difference from 75 to 72 cents. But he left the door open for a little more study.
Yeah, you're probably trying to twist his.
Well, he can read my stuff or watch my stuff and make a decision whether I have added to the conversation or not. Most of mine has to do with things like those IRA credits for the batteries, which I don't think anybody's paying any attention to. That's going to have a big impact on margins because we're making a lot more 4680 batteries. There's things like that I don't think most folks are even paying the slightest attention to.
Yeah, there's swings and roundabouts. It comes in. There's some things that improve
Right.
margin, other things that are against margin.
Mhm.
The fact that we have so many Cybertrucks built that we didn't sell is of concern. And the good thing is that the recalls, the physical recalls on the Cybertruck, are not going to come out at gross profit.
Right.
Finally, we have a reason to have that big warranty reserve. And so that's important. That's a very important consideration. And then the volume of Model Ys have been pretty good, so that will be good. The margins, the volumes on the Model S and the Model X are down very significantly. That's negative. So it's really hard for me to figure out the balance of these
Mhm.
forces. But I don't think it's going to make a really big numerical difference. It all depends on what the specials, what the give and take on those specials, or how they impacted margin. But there's no doubt that the margin on the battery, on the energy, is going to be very good to spectacular.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed today was these analyst notes that came out. We had so many. They were not only so positive. Well, there's obviously the Tony. I never can pronounce his last name. Sakagini, whatever it is. We had his note that was. Yes, we had his note. But most of the notes were not only positive, but they actually kind of got it right in terms of pointing to the future stuff, to the robotaxis, to the Optimus.
Look, Tony Sakanagi is a auto analyst.
Right.
He's looking at this as an auto company. He called it correctly as an auto company. He
Right.
called the lack of additional models correctly in terms of impact on um, volumes,
Right.
and that was 2 years ago. And so, don't underestimate his analysis as it pertains to the car company. So that is a real, that's a real negative on the future revenue and the future margins. But we know that. We've
Mhm.
stipulated that. We've already moved with Elon in this, new book that we're entering into, this new book that we're about to publish. And in the new book, cars become a minor player, a minor part of the whole. So Tony is probably correct in his analysis, but that's an analysis of what will become a very small part of the Tesla story.
You mentioned a minute ago a lot of Cybertrucks still in inventory. I haven't seen that story yet. So I don't know
Well,
how
just look at the numbers.
well, the numbers of what though? I didn't see any numbers on Cybertruck that I could believe.
Well, the Cybertruck sales were not anywhere near where we hoped them to be.
Do we have Cybertruck numbers from, not from Tesla?
Well, we have the Model X, Y, and Cybertruck.
I see they were
Right.
combined.
Yeah, yeah,
And so the total on that line was what was worrisome.
yeah, yeah.
I see. Okay. And so you're believing that that this was not from lack of production, but from lack of sell-through.
Yeah, and we've seen Cybertruck in inventory quite significantly, and that's in terms of, the analysis that the Tesla folks have done. Unfortunately, I've been pretty engaged in the last couple of days, so I haven't done the
Okay.
analysis myself. I'm just reading
Well,
it's just what I'm reading.
so then Joe Tegmeyer says this morning that he hasn't seen such activity on Cybertrucks. That the number being produced right now is very significant.
Huge volume, but isn't that because the Cybertruck now gets the 7.5 credit
So that might be
from the
it.
beginning of January?
Yeah.
But I saw that. I saw it very briefly. I've been so engaged, but I did see very briefly because I do pay attention to everything that Joe tweets. He's one of my go-to guys, and he definitely tweeted there was huge activity there today.
Yeah, I mean, because I have, as far as I know, and talking to a lot of people who are holding reservations, we haven't been offered, I haven't even had an offer on the 80,000 version.
Right.
So I think maybe they were trying to sell as many foundation models, or maybe I don't know. There's just maybe there's a good question to somebody to ask at earnings.
It bears looking into. It bears looking into, but I'm very comfortable about the Cybertruck, although it definitely didn't achieve the numbers that I thought it would achieve.
Right, right. All right. Earlier today, you put out a video on Optimus, my number one favorite subject, and one that put up a very long, what do they call them? Threaded posting on X the other day. So your analysis, which I've seen part of before, you were talking about the value to an industrial company coming out to being something on the order of $600,000 over a 5-year period, which
Well, $600,000 for the highest level of skill.
highest or the medium? I thought that was the median one.
$600,000 without discounting it back
Right.
for the
Right.
cash flow. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And so the result of your analysis was that a company could easily pay a very substantial, $100,000 for a bot. If it was up front, you didn't give a rental per month. Many of us in the community have talked about 60,000 a month. I mean, sorry, 60,000 a year as a number.
You can't price this thing yet. You actually have to, and you don't know whether to price it by skill set or by you. I think pricing is a little bit premature at this point. I think
Okay. So
yeah, sorry.
that's what I wanted to bring up. So let me take it from a
Right.
completely different angle.
Right.
In the beginning, sounds like a Bible scripture. Anyway, in the beginning, there's
This
hope.
is a biblical moment.
It is
This
a
is
biblical.
a biblical moment. Yeah.
It is. In the beginning, there's only going to be a few thousand bots, a few tens, even tens of thousands. If you
Yeah.
add all the Chinese bots and all the US bots and all the South Korean bots and the Japanese bots, if you add them all together, maybe in 2026, there'll be 50 or 100,000 bots that'll be sold.
Around, a small amount
A small
relative
amount
to where the market's going.
to the market. So
But
that,
I will make a point, and please don't underestimate this point. Those bots are going to cost the manufacturers a boatload of money.
okay,
The cost is not going to be 25,000. The cost is going to be closer to $100,000 to $200,000 per bot.
but you're including in that, of course, all of the what do you call it? The setup, the years of
No,
production
I'm not
planning
writing off the development against that year's production.
but
I'm saying the actual bill of materials.
actual build.
The actual bill of materials. Look, right now, as we sit here today,
Uh-huh.
the bill of materials on those bots run into the couple of 100,000. Why? Because by necessity, they're pretty much handmade.
Right.
By necessity.
Right.
And then when you think about, firstly, figuring out how to produce them, secondly, setting up the first production, testing the production, by hand. They're going to be, look at Elon's methodology. First, they got to find, the cheapest possible set of components. Then they're going to do it by hand, and then they're going to automate it. So we're in the finding the best design right now process, and we're still improving it. When we start producing it, they're going to be produced by the very small quantity, and because they're produced by very small quantity, they're going to be produced in very much non-automated methods. And so everybody goes to the end game here, but the end game is going to take several years to get to.
Okay. So let's assume for a moment that the cost is really not the subject. Let's assume that what's really important is what people are willing to pay for them.
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is kind of my point. So if there's 100,000 bots by all makers, I'm saying I think Tesla makes 100,000 in 2026, but let's just for now, we'll say everybody together, and it won't really matter. It could be 1 million.
Yeah.
The demand for those bots in 2026, the available bots will be astronomical. There will be people, it'll make some of the other demand curves like on Apple phones look like nonsense.
I don't agree with that, by the way.
I don't agree
I
with
think
that.
the demand will be at the inquisitive inquiry level. I mean, if you are a producer of BMW motor cars, or if you're a producer of washing machines, you have got your production dialed in. You have the production running at flat out speed, and you are testing bots on the warehouse, you're testing bots a few in the production line, you're testing bots in, in the, I don't know, in moving materials around in the factory floor. You're doing a lot of testing and you're doing a lot of analysis. I don't think you are like Randy Kirk running, with this vision of an automated factory tomorrow. And you're not paying for the bot accordingly. You're saying, I'm very excited, Mr. Vendor, but let's make sure that we're right. And I think that that's going to be the state of play in the early years.
All right. So just for fun, let's assume that Elon is able to show us a product at the end of 2025, early 2026. They have 3,000 to 3,000 working in the
It's possible. Yeah.
And that's what their plan is. They're going to have 1,000 to 3,000 working. He's able to show bots that are doing human-like tasks that can be placed into existing human-like tasks with a minimum amount of training. Again, we're talking about, in my case, it would be catching a bottle and putting it into a trimmer. That would be the entire task. That's all.
You are Andy Kirk. You are Andy Kirk. You're on the floor. You're talking to the guy on the floor. You're running the factory, that every square inch of.
Right.
I'm talking about middle management who are running a factory, and they have 3 layers between them and the foreman.
I don't care about those guys. I'm saying that the guys who are going to be the ones who are going to be dying to get these are going to be the guys that are looking for, that have 100 manufacturing employees or have 500 manufacturing.
Yeah, but that's not the way the volume is going to come from, because
if you multiply that out, I mean, I looked it up.
The cost of selling is going to be incredibly high. Look, you may be right, Randy, but I'm actually not interested in that curve up and the mechanics of getting the curve up. I'm interested in at the end of the curve. So you're interested in year 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. To me, that's almost, I have to depend upon the genius of product design, Elon Musk, mm-hmm. to figure out how to get from here to there in that period of time. The electric car had the same level of utility. The Falcon 9 had the same level of utility. It still took, 5 years for Falcon 9 to prove out, and to prove that you can return it, and to prove that blah, blah, blah. And it took, until 2018 before the car really came off the production line in volume, and they had the charging stations, and they had the delivery centers, and blah, and blah, and blah. But people were saying in 2013, this is going to be, Katie bar the doors. So when you're talking about delivery at scale, and you're talking about production at scale, it never happens in a year. It just never happens in a year.
Well, you're saying it never happens in a year if it's a complex product. I have lots of products. I have lots of products that were being delivered within a short period of time. Okay.
I get that. I'm with you. I understand, injection molding, blow molding. I understand that kind of product. When we're talking about a complex industrial product that has to fit into an extraordinarily complex environment, or you want to sell it retail to small users, either way, this is not going to be, it's not going to scale like this in no time flat. It's going to scale like this, but it's going to 3, 5, 7 years.
Okay. So let me get back to my original thought.
Yeah.
My original thought is, whenever it is clear to every level of manufacturing, whether it's the little tiny guy that only has 1 employee to the guy that's got 100,000 employees, when it becomes clear, whether that's 25, 26, 27, whenever it becomes clear, there's not going to be enough of them then either.
That is where you and I align.
Okay. So when that
And
happens,
to me, it doesn't matter whether it's 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years.
all right. Okay.
What matters is the moment of realization. And we're talking about share price now. What matters in terms of share price is that moment of realization when Wall Street, the scales fall from their eyes, when Gary Black says, okay, I'm prepared to put it in my spreadsheet now.
Right.
When that happens, the rate at which it goes in, all of that stuff doesn't matter.
It's going to be so huge.
Yes, but it's the moment of realization. Look, because it's huge, you forget how long it took for the iPhone. No, maybe you don't forget, but people forget. People forget how long it took for the iPhone to take off. It took years, not months, not days, not weeks. It took years for the iPhone to take off.
Yeah.
From
Okay.
the moment.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's go back to where we're aligned then. We're aligned that at some point, there will come a point in time when pretty much all of the industrial folks in the US, the Western world, will say, okay, these bots are amazing. I need to have one. And it's going to replace $600,000 worth of labor over 5 years. So I need to have these. And if I don't have them, my competitor is going to have them. I'm going to be in trouble. So I need to buy them, and there's a limited quantity. Now, typically what happens in that situation is you have an NVIDIA moment where NVIDIA is making 85% margins or 80% margins. And this is what I've been, where I want to get to is, to me, Tesla would want to take advantage of NVIDIA type margins if they're available. They wouldn't. And just because a Chinese company decides to sell them for $30,000 when in fact the market is $100,000 or $200,000, that Tesla would would still go out at the number that the market would bear. Otherwise, they're just going to get resold. They're just going to have a reseller market.
I'm aligned.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Look, there are counter arguments to my view about the timing.
Okay. I have one.
No, but I think you're missing the biggest one.
Okay. Okay.
It can be spelt in a 5-letter word. China. China, unlike Wall Street, has come to the realization that bots are the future.
Right.
If you listen to my piece, my Optimus piece, I showed that China has gone from like number 17 in terms of number of industrial bots to number 3 in the world in 5 years. That is, it's unparalleled.
Right.
It's unparalleled. And China has, from a policy point of view, from, Xi down, said, you shall make bots.
Humanoid bots.
Yeah, I'm talking about humanoid bots. And yeah, I kind of short-circuited that. To put it correctly, they went into that incredible growth in industrial bots. They went from 17 to number 3 in industrial bots, which are, and I pointed out industrial bots are not humanoid bots. Humanoid bots are much more valuable than industrial bots. Humanoid bots can't do some of the really big jobs that industrial bots do, or maybe can't do some of the jobs that big industrial bots can't do, but big industrial bots are very expensive. And
they do one thing.
They do one thing, they're difficult to maintain, they're very, very difficult and expensive to move from one job to another job. And, the whole point of my piece is that Gary Black just ignores them. And I'm not pointing at Gary for this. I'm pointing at Wall Street in general. And I'm pointing to the fact that we haven't come to the Wall Street moment of realization.
Right.
But China, as a country and as a policy from the top down, has made that realization that Gary and Wall Street or Wall Street can't make, and that Gary points to the fact that Wall Street hasn't made it.
Right.
So what I am saying is that China could short circuit this whole process and start employing bots. In fact, they claim
They already are.
with video to have implemented bots in the factory floor. But whether it's simply video, that's it doesn't matter. They could short circuit this thing and start buying bots at scale and start manufacturing bots at scale, and that'll short circuit the timescales in the United States. It'll force a complete disruption in terms of the normal timescales of these things, and then we could be working to Randy Kirk timescales.
And part of the reason why I have my timescale is I always make the assumption that Elon doesn't need the Chinese to motivate him to work at the fastest possible timescale.
Yeah, but he needs customers.
Well, again, the question on the customer side, which is what I've spent my whole life doing, is on the customer side. The question on the customer side is merely doing the demo. He's got the voice.
You can't demo this thing to sales of one or two bots at a time.
But he has the voice. Elon has the voice. He has the 220 million people watching him on X. He's got the national attention. If he goes out and makes an announcement, the announcement gets seen by way more people than would normally see it. And because of the nature, you're an industrialist, software industrialist. You know that you have to pay more attention to that stuff.
I've also had to sell at scale. Yeah. And as much as Elon gets people like Randy Kirk running his bottle plant, he can't scale 1 million people to go out and support 1 million or 500,000 or 1/3 of 1 million different small industrial organizations to implement. He needs people to buy at scale. Mm-hmm. That's the only way you're gonna get to scale. Yes, the Randy Kirk bottle plants are going to buy it, but they're only going to be able to buy it when he can do it the way he does cars, where you go and pick it up, you teach yourself to drive it, you drive it. And he has, look, I bought 2 cars in the last week. Right. I know what it's like. I go and I talk to the sales guy for like 15 minutes. Right. They make an appointment. I come in on the appointed day, 3 or 4 days time. He says hi, and then he points me to sit, and my name will be called. I get my name called, and they spent no time at all with me. Zero. They got me to sign in 5 different places. I had to sign. I had to read it beforehand. I had to sign it. I mean, that's scale.
Well, I don't remember who it was, Larry. It was one of our friends. It could have been Scott. Somebody. It wasn't me. I can't take credit for this. They said when the bot is received at Randy Kirk's bottle plant, the bot will get out of the box. It will say, "Here's how you program me."
Right. Yeah. And when they get to that point, great. It'll be fantastic. But I promise you that first couple of years is not going to happen.
Okay. All right. Well,
even if Scott says it will.
I see. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's leave that one there. We leave a lot of subject matters open. Like, for instance, one of the questions I'd love to have you maybe look into deeper. I'll try to look into it deeper. Is I think the most difficult part of building the bot is going to be the actuators. Maybe running the tendons up the arm might become a difficult situation. I'm not sure, the attachments, etc. But of all the things that I've seen, it seems like the actuators, and there's going to be, I think, 9 different actuators, all of which are going to be built by Tesla. That is going to be the thing that's going to need to scale. The assembly of the bot, I'm not sure that how much of a scaling issue that's going to be, but you're going to have to be able to scale all those actuators from 100,000 to 1 million to millions.
I have I'm not an industrial. I mean, I would look to, the guys who really know this stuff. Right. But I'll tell you what I'm an expert at. I'm an expert at assessing time to market. And I've been a lot more accurate than most guys in terms of those assessments because I'm a lot more pessimistic.
Uh-huh.
My
Uh-huh.
assessment is of time to market is whatever the guy says, multiply by three.
Yeah. And double the cost.
That's it. But I
Yeah.
do know a lot about the bills of material because I've been doing a lot of engagement with, manufacturers who, some of whom have opened their books to me. And I can tell you, our bills of material right now are frightening in their numbers, and it's going to take, time to get to production. And I know how Elon thinks because, we've been told in great detail in the books that we've read how he thinks. And right now they're at the stage of, figuring out what they can cut out, what they don't need. And he's weighed the actuators. He knows what they weigh, so he knows how much they're going to cost at the end of the day.
Mhm.
But right now, when they each have to be built by hand, they're a lot more money.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely
And
true.
they're not going to automate it until they're absolutely certain that what they're delivering is what they want. Because that's what he said. The last step is automation.
Yeah, yeah. So Jeff, I talked to Jeff about this on Wednesday. He felt that they for the 1,000 to 3,000 that they will have a pilot line. So this
Yeah.
will be a manufacturing line. I don't think that I think the actuators will all have, full on they're not going to be like 3D printed or assembled by hand. These will be, manufactured actuators at this point. But
Mm.
I think to your point, during that year, they're going to find out, well, this actuator is going to poop out on us after too long at this heat or whatever,
Mm.
and be making changes to some of this equipment as they go along.
I would definitely take Jeff's assessment, Scott's assessment, and I think those two guys between them could probably figure it out to a large degree. And I would accept whatever they tell me, and then I would double that time.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
I mean,
No, no, I understand what you're saying on that one 100%.
yeah.
Usually, though, all I needed in order to get my time schedule back was a trade show coming up. It's amazing what you could do in the last 3 days before a trade show.
And you can definitely put it together in the last few days for a trade show, but that doesn't give you delivery at scale.
Just,
Yeah,
I'm
no, I'm aligned. I'm
You've been
with you.
there, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
the only time that I've only stayed up 24 hours twice, once for a psych exam and once for a trade show the next day. Yeah,
Then you've never been in the software business.
it's because you stayed up all night a lot of times. Huh?
A lot of times, more times than I care to think about, and for the most part, without great results.
No, that's not good. Larry, let's just for fun, let's take a look at the numbers because I'm sure everybody by now, it's been so exciting. Probably every single soul already knows these numbers, but Tesla ended up $31 today.
Wow, I
Uh,
didn't know that number.
you didn't know it was up 31.
Wow, that's a big day.
It's a big day. And it was,
Oh man, there must be some Tesla Q people who have lost a lot of money today. Oh my goodness.
yes, it went from my bottom, my 380,
Yeah.
the
To
all-time high,
yeah,
310, the old all-time high,
all-time high. Yeah.
which was my cutoff.
Yeah.
And now my continuing claim is that we could be bouncing around between 310 and I'm sorry, 410 and 480 between now and the earnings, that we're unlikely
Wow.
to go over 480. We're unlikely to go back under 310 again.
Where did NVIDIA end up?
Oh, where did NVIDIA end up for today? NVIDIA's been doing well. It's Apple that's been going down. NVIDIA up $6 today,
Yeah,
144.
I was very seriously considering adding NVIDIA yesterday, and I ran out of day
You ran
because
out of.
I was doing an interview and
Oh,
it took a lot of the day, and then we had dinner afterwards, and so I lost the day. I'm still thinking of buying NVIDIA even at these levels. I think this is a great buy, and I think that Tesla is a great buy. I think uh, If you're adding steadily, if you're adding Tesla steadily, you're going to make a lot of money. In my personal judgment, and
I,
this is not investment advice to anybody, but that's my judgment.
yeah, I would, we were 100% aligned on that one.
Okay.
The Dow was up 339 today.
Oh, so it was a good day
Yes.
all around.
Yeah, you could pretty much, Tesla was kind of just at a slightly different angle.
Yeah.
It was, you know, the
Well,
same thing.
that's Tesla's beta, right?
That's, well, it was way more than the beta
Way
today.
more than the beta.
The
Yeah, yeah.
NASDAQ, the NASDAQ was up 1.77%, whereas Tesla was up 8.22.
That's a big beta.
A big beta.
Yeah.
So NASDAQ up 340, S&P up 73. As I said, Mag 7, except for Apple, was all up, and Cathie Woods, except for CRISPR, which was only down 41 cents, all of them managed to get into the green. Actually, ARK-K and ARK-G both did very well today.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Square did really well today, like 6% up. So that's another Cathie Wood. Is she still in Square? I'm not sure.
I imagine so. I think they're long distance players. They don't change very often. They don't change direction very often.
Larry, what are we going to do about these bonds?
Oh God. What happened today? Whoa.
Up 2.7, back over
Wow.
4.6,
Wow.
over
Wow.
4.6.
Are they going to get to 5?
I don't know.
It makes it so hard to get out of liquid bond. I mean, it's very, very hard right now to invest money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very hard. I mean, every month those they used to be called coupons. The coupons would come in, but today it's like just cash. It's just the cash flow is unreal. Of course, the market is completely outshone.
Well, now AJ, your buddy AJ, my buddy
Yeah.
AJ, said this morning that the S&P, because of all the earnings being so good, that the S&P multiple came down quite significantly over the last 2 months.
Interesting, isn't it interesting?
Well,
Wow.
that's helpful. That's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes the S&P stocks a little more, well, the equities a little more affordable.
These are salad days, man. Golden days. Wow.
And then you get oil. All right. Everything. I did a big report this morning on oil from the World Bank. World Bank says oil is going to just go through the floor. There's so much oversupply. There's no way OPEC can stop them. Sounds like your words and my words. And oil's up another dollar at $74 for Texas Intermediate.
The daily swings on oil, I wouldn't put too much store by, unless that swing is $4 or $5 or $6.
Right. But I was expecting it to be going down, Larry, and it's been going up.
But oil is really subject to a lot of technicalities. Well, if it's been going up for several days in a row, that's a different matter.
Yeah, it's gone up. It was like 69. Now it's at 75. So 74 rather. So that's over like 5 days, 6 days. Yeah. So anyway,
Gas is interesting because the gas got cut off from Russia, and they're supposed to have all the supplies in
yet,
Europe.
and yet gas, which went up 20% in 1 hour last week, is lost all that back down. It's back down to $3.36.
Yeah, so obviously the European supply is much better than they thought when it went up. Anyway, who knows?
I think that's probably right.
It's such a specialist commodity, that it's very hard for outsiders like us to really depict that. And what we read is always what they want us to read. So I'm very doubtful of what they say,
Now that's the first time I've heard cynicism, Larry. I mean, pure cynicism.
Well, no, but in the oil market, it's particularly true. I knew that market very well some 30 years ago, very well, actually far better than I care to admit, and far better than I care to remember. But I will tell you that market is a closed shop to, the oil company, the majors and the major brokers, and they keep it very close.
Mm.
Now, I'm talking about the international oil market. I don't know much about the US market. So I'm not sure how that works, but I do know that the international markets, wow, is that a dirty game? Truly dirty game, not only dirty in terms of the commodity itself, but dirty in terms of how the dealers operate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And you wouldn't think it's possible with such a gigantic market, but that's what happens.
Sure, sure. We've got gold down $16, but it's right in the middle of where it's been. Silver right at $30, so no real change there. Copper, your favorite one to watch, has been at $4 and a few pennies for
Oh,
weeks,
months.
weeks. Now the national, what do you call it? The International Bank? No, what is it? It's called the World Bank. The World Bank also said they expected commodities to drop by 10% this year.
Interesting.
Part of that is because they expect oil to go down so much, and so much of commodities is partially impacted by the cost of oil because
What do you think the impact would be if peace broke out in Ukraine and the Middle East?
it's going to.
But what do you think will happen as a result?
That's a good question because theoretically, I mean, I think the commodities are not being impacted by the Middle East right now, but certainly maybe still by the Ukraine somewhat, and Russia. I guess, maybe depend on the terms. If Russia is fully invited back into the
World order?
world order.
Yeah, it's an interesting postulate, but I guess it's kind of right now a dream. Okay.
Well, it's a little bit of a dream. What do you call it? Trump has 17 days left.
And they selected a speaker today. You'd think that was the principal reason for driving this crazy market.
Maybe. I don't.
Well, it removes a huge level of uncertainty that the newspapers had us believe it was going to happen. But Trump told us this guy's going to be speaker and it's going to happen. And it happened in the first vote, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, you did have a 5% fallback
Yeah.
over 5 days. So profit taking, I'm sorry, bargain hunting might have been
Yeah, it could have been, but maybe it was
as
going
the
down
day went
because what
on.
they were saying about the speaker and all the uncertainty, and everybody's thinking, oh, the
Yeah,
salad days are over, and then whoa,
yeah.
he was right, boom, we're back in the. I mean, who knows? But I think that's a good guess. I like that guess.
The dollar is supposedly out over its skis,
Yeah.
20% higher in terms of true value or real value.
Oh, that is so funny. I have to laugh at those true value.
Bitcoin taking another run.
Let me give you a little bit of advice from an old man.
I
True
know.
value is never true value.
Yeah, we'll talk to the Fed president about, or the Fed. We'll talk to Powell. He's always looking for the true interest rate.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
Bitcoin 98,199, making another
Almost back to the 100,000.
making
Yeah.
another run at the 100,000 level.
Yeah.
And of course, no pre-markets today, so it's Friday. So Larry, there you have it. I think we've made a lot of progress in our understanding of what's going to happen with Optimus, and now everybody can pick sides down below in the comments. Who do you believe, Larry, in this corner? That was a fun debate. I hope people will comment about the timing that they think it will take for Optimus to actually get out there in numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we're still going to have to come to some degree of reality between us and China. It's going to be a very interesting moment. So, right.
Yeah. One of the most interesting years ever, I think, that we are about to embark on, or we have now embarked on. We have 3 days in.
Yes. Yes.
So, we'll see how it all unrolls. Larry, as always, thank you for coming on and helping us ferret it out.
Great job. Thank you, Randy. Great job you did there.
And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.